Welcome to A Delhi Love, Ishq Muhabbat Pyaar, the podcast that treats Delhiwalas to captivating conversations on living and loving all things Delhi. Delhi is not just a place, it's a state of mind, an attitude that leaves a mark on everyone who visits or calls it home. I'm Yasmin, your host, a documentary filmmaker, former municipal councillor, and at heart, the quintessential Delhi girl. I love how Delhi is both old and new at the same time. I value its history and heritage and love exploring the new aspects of the city we share. I'm no expert, but I grew up in the gullies here, enjoyed public service here, and just like you, shared a deep passion for Delhi's enigmatic soul. Together, let's embrace the delightful contradictions that make Delhi the city it is. After all, around every corner, there must be 1,000 dastans to share in this megacity of 1,000,000 conversations. If you want to understand Delhi, look at its people. We are loud and loving, argumentative, and sometimes even boisterous, but always opinionated. Today on A Delhi Love, we are meeting Gurmehar Kaur, whose small voice made a big noise, and people took notice. Gurmehar has been a young activist, author, and a voice for peace and human rights. The daughter of a martyred army officer, Gurmehar's role in a 2017 social media campaign, Profile for Peace, brought her into the public eye. Her placards explaining why she blamed war and not Pakistan for the death of her father immediately gathered both criticism and praise. She was soon at the center of a media storm and trial where she was hounded by shrill voices. Courageous has been the word used to describe her stand. Gurmehar has since then tried to live as normal a life as she can, pursuing further studies, working, and using the platforms she has to rally for a more equitable world. Her first 2 books were shortlisted for the Sahitya Akademi Yuva Puraskar. Welcome, Gurmehar.
I never doubted what I did. I still don't. I think I used the internet very boldly back then. It was very strange because I had a celebrity status with a student pocket money. In all the Bollywood movies, wherever Pakistan is just women with burqa and men with skull caps. I remember I couldn't, in my PG, I couldn't do laundry for a day. Because if I went up to dry my clothes, they would take a photo of me. I think I love the diversity of Delhi. I love how accessible the city is. I love the metros. I've lived in Oxford. I've lived in London. I've traveled to a whole bunch of cities, but I don't want to. I see myself living here forever and ever.
Welcome, Gurmehar. So you and me have crossed paths so many times, but this is lovely to be able to sit and talk across
Yasmin.
with you.
Hello, Yasmin. It's so nice to be here. I feel like it's our first conversation on camera.
Yes.
And I'm very excited about it because I know we have great conversations off camera. I feel like every single time we've met, we always have interesting things to say.
And we have so many things to talk about.
Yeah,
so this is going to be fun.
Exactly. I'm very excited.
Okay, I have to introduce you to the audience. So what best describes you? Should I say author? Should I say...
Just say author, advocate, anything.
I was going to say author, activist, or now teacher. Which one is the best description?
I think author, activist. I teach very little. Yeah. Or author, activist, academic.
What role do you enjoy more?
I love writing, but I don't think I can sustain my writing without political work. What I did do was I took 5 years after I graduated from college. I did my master's in it, and I said, I have these 4 things that I like. So each year, I'm going to try and do something new. So I did a bit of political consultancy. I did teaching for 1 year, which is academia, which is what I love. And then I did political consultancy, and then I did journalism, and of course writing the book now.
You need to do a little bit of everything.
Yeah, I think they coexist. I won't be able to write if I wasn't doing any kind of political work at all. Yeah. What do you think? How does that work for you in documentaries?
That's funny you're asking me that, because it's difficult to fit myself into silos too. Like, people ask me, are you a politician? Are you a documentary filmmaker? Do you now, do you work in the cultural space? And I also feel actually, I understand what you're saying, because I don't think I can do one without the other. And Acha, I remember. Do you remember the first time we met? That was on the Hindustan Times
Yes,
cover shoot.
cover shoot.
It was a issue on women
Yeah.
achievers, and both of us were put on the cover.
Yeah.
I remember you then. You were 20,
20
completely.
years old.
Yeah, you were 20.
So
you were
young.
shy. You were reticent. You know, you didn't know anybody over there, and you were suddenly in the spotlight. How did you face that? I mean, how did you feel at that point of time in the face? You
Just
know, you were
scared.
cyberbullied a lot.
Yeah, I think just scared and confused, I would say. Just very scared and confused. Because I think I was very aware that a lot of this attention can get to your head. And my mother was very aware of it. So we had conversations about it. And I feel like all the things that I expected would happen after you've been put into the spotlight suddenly overnight, things that I could imagine, I tried to manage. I did not do any quote-unquote reality TV shows, even though
Were they offers?
Yeah. They're just like, you must do this. I was very certain that all I have to do right now is do my English literature degree, then do a master's, and if I enjoy doing my master's, then I will do a PhD. So I knew I was going to follow through my academic path. But I think there were other small things that I didn't know would happen. As I went to the grade late, as I went from one year to the next, and we had new younger girls coming in. I think a lot of they would come and ask for selfies in between classes, or they would.
I remember that. Yeah.
And I would walk into markets, or I would be in the metro, because it was very strange, because I had a celebrity
status
with a student pocket money. So I was very much taking autos. I still take autos, and I still take metro. So I was taking autos and metros everywhere. And I think there were these strange things where people would come up and ask for selfies. And I think I remember the first few times it was quite nice. But I think sooner my friends started becoming annoyed by it. And then they would take it out on me. So every single time anyone would come for a selfie, and if I was in a group of with my girlfriends from college, I think it gave me so much anxiety, because I knew that this moment will go, but then I'm going to have passive aggressive remarks from my friends later. So I think, and I can only think about it in hindsight, about this anxiety that I had back in college, and these are such tiny problems, right? But I'm just thinking, being 20, what it was like. If I look back at a 20-year-old girl, a different girl going through it, I just want to protect her, and I don't know. This is just, it seems very first world problems, but as a college girl, that was my world, and suddenly
And it was a very overnight shift. Now tell me, Gurmehar, like, were you always a courageous girl, or did you become courageous, or did you have to become courageous? Because suddenly a lot happened to you.
Yeah, quite literally overnight. I feel like you read about these things, and you don't think that it's ever going to happen to you. And then it does.
Yeah.
And you're not prepared for it. Was I always courageous? I was very stubborn. And I feel like stubbornness and courage are very similar when you're young. You think they are very, and I feel like I was very stubborn in the sense that I'm not going to back down from my opinion, because it came from a place of one experience and just young innocence, and I truly believe in it. I still continue to believe in it. I do think peace is the way to go forward in life.
You know, to put it into perspective for people who are listening in, that, you know, you were a part of the Save DU movement.
Yeah.
But you were not the only one. But you were the one who, you're the one who bore the brunt of it. And you got a lot of hate, but you also got a lot of attention, like you're saying, positive attention. Why do you think it happened to you? Both these extremes.
I think it's because I think there was definitely a larger on-ground movement for the Save DU campaign. There were lots of students who were protesting on ground. What I did was that the photographs with the placard, I started using social media for the things that were happening on ground. So, I mean, I would never go and say that, oh, of course, the campaign that I started. The only thing I would say I did. Of course, with a lot of consulting with my friends, with my activist friends, I was the first person to pick up a placard, write what I wrote on it, said that we don't agree with the ABVP, we don't want violence on our campuses, and wrote that the students were against the ABVP and they were against the violence.
You were just one student.
Yeah, I was one student, and I remember
targeted.
I was one student, and I got targeted. But I think I remember the next day, the first day in my PG, and it's hilarious. For the first day in my PG, I write it on the back of my notes because it's a printed sheet on the back of my notes. My friend takes a photo. We put an Instagram filter on it. It was a big thing back then. And then I went to my friends in the PG saying, "Would you take this and change your profile photo?" And the next day we went for another meeting in the university, and I had this like one placard, and I asked people, I was just like, "Here is your placard. Will you take a photo and upload it?"
What did that placard say?
It said "Students Against ABVP."
Oh, so you encourage other people?
I encourage other people. Yeah.
Okay.
So I encourage other people, and initially people thought this was such a silly thing.
Just a girl holding a placard.
Yeah, they just thought, why should I change it? And I was just, they were like, why should I change it? I said, just do it. It sends a message. And after that, I'm not lying, Yasmin. I have no memory. After that, it's a blur. I have just these patches of memories of just like driving down to Jalandhar because my mom sent a car, of my mom being very worried, of sleeping and waking up of going to sleep, not being able to sleep, then sleeping and waking up with the TV blasting my name and saying that there's a video of me drinking and dancing, and then going back to sleep again. And giving giving an interview to Barkha, speaking to her, while I was just slurring my words because I was just so scared, quite literally slurring. And I don't know. And I have these patches of memories, but I don't think I have a coherent. Yeah, I don't think I remember.
It was a very tough period because this is the time that an old video of yours also surfaced, and which is the one you done for Voice of Ram, where again it was others also a part of this campaign. It was your views that you didn't blame Pakistan but war, and a lot of hurtful comments were made. This was all happened at the same time.
So the video we shot with Ram was a year ago.
Yeah, and it surfaced during this time.
And I think it was also, I guess, no one had recognized, it was back in 2017, no one had recognized how big social media trolling was going to be. No one realized that this was going to be a part of our everyday culture. Today, when people are being trolled, you're expected to be trolled. You go on the internet,
especially as a woman, if you're putting yourself out,
and it doesn't matter whether you're doing skincare influencing, whether you're doing fashion, whether you're cooking, whether you're vlogging, whether you're doing politics. I think if you're a woman on the internet, and I would go on to say, I mean, not just women, if you're a person belonging to a minority community, then you're going to be targeted. If you're someone who has certain type of politics, then you're going to be targeted by these bullies. And I think back in 2017, we just didn't realize how organized it was. I didn't expect it, and I feel people around me didn't expect it. But it was quite, I don't know. I think I look back at it, sometimes I think things happen for a reason. I feel like when terrible things happen to you, you have to believe in something to keep yourself sane. I do believe it happened, and now I'm meant to follow through with it. I don't know what that means.
I was going to ask you, what do you think that means? How overwhelming was this negativity and criticism which came to you? I mean, you were like, weren't you like, what did I do?
Never. Actually, I never doubted what I did. I never doubted what I did. I still don't. I think I might have these moments where I said, I think I used the internet very boldly back then. But yeah, in that moment, I did not have a feeling of what did I do. I remember my neighbor, our auntie, neighbor aunties. So she came home and she came to my mom and said, oh, just like Pabi ji, innu dasso ki block kar de sara kuch. Just block everything and deactivate your Facebook. And I'm sitting there and there's a lot of media outside my house.
In Jalandhar.
And this is all happening in the middle. And I'm sitting there, I'm just like, Hanji auntie. So I just blocked the auntie and she thought I deactivated it. and her daughter recently got married. And auntie came to me and she said, Ab to unblock kar de. So I don't know, I never thought I did anything wrong. So even then I didn't want to deactivate my Facebook profile. I didn't want to...
Who did you turn to for advice, or did your family kind of support, or even they were like,
my family fully supported. 100%. My mom, my grandfather, my chachus.
Because it's not like you're coming from a political family, or they know how it's going to go.
Yeah.
And they still supported you?
100%. Yeah, there was not a day where we weren't sitting together. And there was not, I don't remember a single moment where they said that I did anything wrong. And I think that's what a privilege of a good family is, of a family who supports family, and a family who supports your
that's
opinions.
Extremely,
it's so important.
I think
it's the greatest privilege of all kinds. If I didn't have my family, I don't think I would have survived it. My mom had wisdoms to give for sure, but I remember. But even she was so overwhelmed. I remember this journalist Rahul Kaval calling her, and he's a Fauji kid himself, and he had a conversation with her, just very sweetly saying, "What is happening, ma'am? Just have a conversation with me. I'm a Fauji kid. I completely get it." And my mom's a mom, and she just felt, okay, well, someone's being polite and sweet, and I'll just tell him what I'm feeling. And there was never a moment where he said he's recording her.
That's
and there was never a moment where he said he's recording her. The next thing she hears is that phone conversation playing on TV. So I mean, I don't know about journalistic ethics, but I think even my mother was a bit confused as to how to go about it. But she was very wise in the sense that she never asked me to back down. She never asked me to apologize. She never asked me to... She never gave me panic. She just said...
Your mother's had a big role, no?
100%. I don't think I would survive without her. I think she was the stronger one for me, more than me having to be courageous and strong. She just said, don't worry, it'll be fine. Just let this wave pass. And then it passed. And then she sent me to Vipassana, which was the smartest thing she did.
Yeah, I was going to ask you. But then you withdrew from this. This is the campaign then you withdrew from, right?
Yeah.
And what kind of... is this the pressure eventually led you to doing this? Because I remember what you posted at that time that,
I think I realized even then, up until that moment of joining the protest that was happening in North Campus, I knew if I did that protest, my own identity would go out of my own hands.
Oh, okay.
That I will no longer... I don't know how to say it. I knew that if I joined that protest and if I said anything, I will no longer be able to...
This is a Save DU camp.
This is a Save DU camp. This is the final day where the largest political rally happened in DU in many, many years. And I think there's a part of me that was scared for my life.
You were getting threats like that?
Yes, I got multiple phone calls. I think one, I realized if I went there, they turned this 20-year-old me, who still had so much life to live. And I had self-awareness even back then that I'm not Shela or Kanhaiya or Umar, who back then were 27, 28. I was
You were
in my
20.
first year of college. They were doing their PhDs and MPhils. I knew I was not them. I knew that I always wanted to be them. They're wonderful people. All three of them. They've had great journeys. I wanted to be like them. I wanted to be the leader that they were, but I knew I wasn't ready, so I did not go there. And I think that is one reason, that self-awareness. But I think second, and I think the biggest, was that I was getting so many threats.
And these included death and rape threats.
Death and rape threats. And I was just so scared. And I think it's one of those things that people tell you, what if someone came and threw acid on you? Because they said they were going to do it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it was continuous, no? At that time, yeah.
And I think it was continuous.
But you withdrew also very boldly. You made a statement.
Yeah.
And, it's not like you cowed down and went. You made a very strong statement. But did the bullying stop after that?
Never. I'm pretty sure they're still going to bully me about something. The bullying doesn't stop. The sexualization doesn't stop. There's still... Sometimes people just come to my workplaces. I've had multiple times in the last 4 years that people have showed up to my workplaces.
Like what kind?
To have a conversation, whatever that may mean. I was working for a journalistic organization, and I'm sitting there, and a random person walks into the office, said, "I want to meet you." Goes to the head of the office, says, "I'm here to meet Gurmehar." No one questions who he is. And they just said, "Oh, there's a person who's waiting to meet you." And I remember sending my supervisor at that moment because I'm having a conversation with this person who I have no idea, who said, "I follow you on Instagram. I just want to have a conversation with you." And I'm shaking now because I think anything could happen.
Anything could happen, yeah.
And I'm sending these messages typing on WhatsApp web to my superior, and I can see WhatsApp open in their laptops. And they're looking at it, but not responding. And I'm saying, "Could you please ask him to go?" And they're not responding. And then after this person eventually leaves, where you pacify, you don't do anything. Where this person eventually leaves, and they're like, "How it must feel so great to be a celebrity." And this entire time, I've melted in my heart. I'm scared. My heart is pounding. I don't know who this man is, and everyone thinks that I'm enjoying this attention. That my supervisor, who was on, and it's such a shame, though. I don't know, but I think these things happen. You just constantly have to be scared.
Who do you reach out to? Is it your mother?
My mom. But I also have a therapist. And I feel like
Has that helped?
That's helped so much. So much. I had a child therapist.
Yeah, you were
therapist
19.
for children. And I remember turning 25 and saying, "Oh my God, can I no longer go for child therapy anymore? I finally am doing adult therapy."
You also went for Vipassana.
I also went for Vipassana.
I normally think of,
I'm going to go for another one in a few weeks.
How was the experience? Vipassana, you spent 10 days?
10 days.
And?
Of no contact, no conversation, no conversation, no eye contact, no meals after 12 p.m., meditating for 8 hours a day, waking up at 4 a.m., no phones, no reading, no writing, and exclusively just meditating and doing walks. So and at that point, what I'd done was I was also a kid, right? So I realized my mother is feeling really sorry for me. So after she told one of these other journalists that I'd been back to Jalandhar and all the media came there, then my mother eventually shipped me off to my Masi's house in Bombay, where no one knew who I was. Which was great. And I thought my mother's feeling really sorry for me. My Masi's feeling really sorry for me. This is my moment to finally get my hair colored.
That's what you could think of as a 20-year-old.
Yeah, I was like, I thought this is my moment to finally get the blue and the red and the green. So I had blue, red, green, pink, maroon. Like
your mom gave you permission.
My mom gave I could do anything in that moment, and it would be fine.
Forgiven, yeah.
It would be forgiven. So I've just said I'm going to color my hair these different colors of the rainbow, because rainbow hair was it was a big thing on
time, yeah.
Instagram back in 2017. All the cool people were doing it. I would never have ever gotten permission to do it. So I did. So I got my hair colored, and I remember sitting in Vipassana. I had nothing to do. I would take strands of the pink and braid them, and I would take strands of the blue and braid them.
And you had longer hair at that time.
I had much longer hair at that time. I just kept braiding and just kept thinking about life. But the real I think lesson I learned was, the first 5 days were very difficult, but I think after the 5th day, I finally got what it was. And ever since then, I've used that philosophy. What was the philosophy? It's just, you just have to be still through all the pain, not get attached to the feelings of high, or get attached to the feelings of low and discomfort, and just breathe through it all. I mean, I might just be butchering it. I need to do a Vipassana again, which I'm doing.
But you had something of that in you. I mean, when you lost your father to an act of violence, and yet you journeyed from experiencing hate. You mentioned that yourself, to finding acceptance and love. So where did that? So it started early for you.
Yeah.
Or was it? I mean, wasn't that you forgave what happened with your father after the campaign?
Yeah.
You had already forgiven, so there was some journey that started earlier.
Yeah, I think so. I think so. Because how else you can't quite live with so much hatred in your heart, can you?
But as a 17, 18, 16-year-old, you can. Lot of teenagers do. What made you want to move past that hate?
I think it was definitely, I was pushed to, because my mother realized that there was a lot of hatred in my heart, even when I was 5 years old. Violent hatred. And she knew that this was not healthy. And of course, back in 1999, back in early 2000s, therapy wasn't something people did.
You had actually tried to you associated Muslims with Pakistan.
I did, because that's how it was shown in the movies.
And you tried to stab a burqa clad woman, apparently,
because I thought I'm now in Pakistan, because in all the Bollywood movies, wherever Pakistan is just women with burqa. Just women with burqa, it's nothing else. And men with skull caps. And I was in UP. My mother grew up a little bit of a time in Saharanpur. And of course, UP is so diverse. As a 5-year-old, you don't know India is very diverse. You think what is India is your little world that you're living in.
Yeah.
And I assumed that this woman is responsible because she's Muslim and she's Pakistani, and I have to kill her. And I feel like, and there is a part of me that also not empathizes. That's a wrong word, but I think that there is a part of me that understands this bigotry. That because I think the link that I had as a 5-year-old of Muslim, Pakistan, burqa, not nice, must be killed. But that's the thing. I was 5 years old.
But your mother really worked to take these.
Yeah, but
that's very admirable of her.
Completely. But yeah, no, I think my mother realized I was very toxic. I had far too much anger and far too much violence, and it had to change.
You had that anger and violence. I mean, you felt towards the so-called Muslim and then you yourself became the subject of this kind of hatred.
Yeah.
You were, compared to a person like Dawood Ibrahim when you were 20. But tell me, did it help being 20? Because, like, you can be irreverent at that age. You're like, what?
Yeah.
You can just be like, how does it? It's crazy.
I still laugh about it.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Did it help that you were 20? Because there could be some moments when you could laugh about it.
Me and my best friend Urvi, we laughed about all of it. And I remember when they turned me in, because we would share memes to each other. I remember when they made a meme of me, Urvi, of course it's sad and of course it's bad, but Urvi comes to me and she's like, you are memed. You have made it. Because the highest form of praise for a 19-year-old is to be a meme, apparently. Even though I thought it's cross and it was bully. And she's like, but think about it, you're still a meme. It's
and
a
then,
cultural
like I was
thing.
asking you earlier, there was this a famous cricketer and I think a Bollywood person. How did you feel like these? I mean, that was true bullying.
It was that was just old men thinking they're in hindsight. I was.
And you said something like that.
Because they are just old men thinking they are funny, not realizing I'm actually 20. Just completely disconnected from any form of empathy or recognition of their own hate. I think these are the conversations that uncles have when they've had 2 drinks and they think they can say anything to anyone. And these men are doing that to a million of their followers, not realizing the impact it could have. Not realizing the impact it could have.
We talked about both things that, that so much, in a way, some of the bullying could have been planned and directed towards, like the system gets into play. But there was the other side also. I mean, besides the meme and you making it celebrity status, it is also there was a lot of people who spoke up for you.
Yeah.
A lot of celebrities came in and you almost formed a protective ecosystem formed around you.
Yeah.
That happened too.
That happened too.
Yeah. How did you feel about that? It happened at the same time.
It happened at the same time. But I think that's what protected me. My professors, every single professor I had in LSR in my department, fully protected me. And I also have this feeling where I remember I had to, because it was February, so I had to submit our assignments, our semester assignments, and they weigh 30 marks. And I was on a deadline. I remember having a phone call with my professor saying, oh my God, I don't know, Professor, what's happening but in my life, but is it okay? Can I please get an extension? I will write you an email for 2 weeks. And she said, you don't even have to call me. We know you can't write any of these essays or any of these assignments because we see what you're doing on TV because these guys are outside your house the whole time, and I understand you can't do your assignment. It's completely okay. And I think it was because my biggest concern at that point and my biggest personal concern at that point was, will I get a extension to my assignment because, and I really need one because I can't go outside. I remember I couldn't in my PG I couldn't do laundry for a day. Because if I went up to dry my clothes, they would take a photo of me. And my best friend had to borrow all her clothes and just had to go buy me some more clothes from Sarojini because I just wasn't able to do laundry. But it's true. But I think a lot of people saved my life. Because they would send messages of courage. Kavita Krishnan, she sent those messages. Barkha Dutt, she didn't send me messages, but she went out there fighting with every single person who was saying terrible things to me, including the Bollywood star Randeep Hooda. She didn't have to. She didn't know who I was. Nidhi Razdan. And then of course people like Rahul Gandhi and Shashi Tharoor saying things in my support, and I just thought that was I know Gauri Lankesh sent a message back then. In that moment, my core group of friends fought with trolls on my Facebook comments. They didn't have to, but they did it. and they felt that we've got to protect you, even if it's me fighting with them in a comment war. Yeah.
But while your world expanded, it also shrank. You lost close friends.
I lost close friends.
Yeah, because was it that their worlds became so different suddenly?
I think so. I've reconnected with my best friend again, and we're completely best friends. It's the same. It's almost like nothing has ever changed. But we during college, because worlds became different.
That's what I'm saying. Suddenly your world became so different.
It became so different.
Yeah.
And
for a normal girl's life, it would be like, okay, this one got married and this one didn't. This one had a child and this one didn't. That's how your world changes. But yours was something completely.
I was doing classes with them every day, and after classes, I remember before something happened. Before this happened, every evening I would sit out on the balcony and have adrak chai with my best friend, and we would gossip about things, and we would watch movies, and we would watch Netflix till late, or we would read books, or we would go to a market, and we were very excited about exploring Delhi because it's the first time she'd come from Jodhpur and I'd come from Jalandhar. We were very excited about exploring Delhi, exploring a sense of fashion, going to Sarojini and figuring out what our what our aesthetic is going to be. Just very excited to find out who we were going to be as people. And I think after everything that happened, so many people defined who I was going to be as a person before I could make that journey for myself.
Yeah.
And I had to then play that role. So a part of me wanted to fit that role and not to disappoint, because so many people supported me. So I can't disappoint them, can I?
Yeah.
So I would do that. So I would... so I did the work. After college, it was no longer sitting on the balcony and having chai. I was either writing something, or I was either going for a debate somewhere, or I was either giving somebody else a bite, or I was writing an op-ed for someone.
You also got a huge platform like the TED, where Shah Rukh Khan himself, you got a hug from Shah Rukh Khan.
Oh God. I don't know why I've ever showered since.
How did that feel?
So good. It's Shah Rukh Khan.
But there were these platforms which opened up for you.
But then like I said, then I had to be a certain person.
Yes.
I can't complain at all. But yeah, it was difficult. A lot of my friends grew apart.
Yeah. And then you got all this, like you were saying, a lot of women who grouped together for you, some famous, some very common people.
Yeah.
I think that a lot of women have, like you were saying, have gone through similar experiences. Yeah. So while yours was on a larger scale, many of them probably understood.
Yeah.
And you feel like doing the same now. You do that.
Always. Always. Whoever I could reach out to. If there's anyone being, I remember reaching out to Disha Ravi when she was being bullied, Aishi Ghosh when she was assaulted. And I think it's what you've got to do if someone is being hounded, whether by the right wing or whether by whichever group. If
women are just more vulnerable online.
It's not one. It's also not like one group online that is hounding women.
Yeah, true.
Everyone is hounding women. Men not so much. So one does have to stand up, because if people stood up for me, then now I have to do the same, without question. And I do that, and I want to do more of it, and I want to be better at it. And I sometimes have so much guilt that I'm not doing enough of.
How can this? I mean, you are so much a child of like social media and all these platforms. How do you think one can reduce this kind of? Don't you ever feel of this could be done, or that could be done? I mean, accounts being blocked. How can one reduce this? Sensitizing seems to be a very far off thing. I would say, people need to be sensitized, but that's like
no. I think the worst if people come out on social media.
And then they're paid trolls.
And that's the thing. These are targeted attacks. These are This is a complete industry now. It's no longer one person is feeling hateful towards you and has sent and has sent a mean message.
Yeah, it's the same. It's
someone is being paid.
Do this.
There's money going into it. This is how people are being employed, and they call it social media marketing or social media. They have all these crazy names for these things. And the PR companies for political parties. They have these fancy names, but essentially they're all trolls.
True.
And there's now proper money going into it.
But you've also kept in touch with the public through social media, even when you went away.
Yeah.
Even when you went away for higher studies, you did keep in touch and continued to engage.
But then I burnt out, and I want to engage with people.
You don't do so much of that anymore?
No.
But you're still very active on social.
I'm still fairly active because I have to be.
And also, it must be a part of.
It's also a part of young people's life, I guess. But if I could, I would never be on social media.
Really?
I would delete every single thing off my phone right now.
Why do you say that?
I think I genuinely used to believe, and I think because a lot changes, I genuinely used to believe that social media can be used to do better good. I used to think that social media can be used as a public space. However, at the end of the day, social media, these are private companies. These are private organizations run by single white men sitting in San Francisco, deciding what the world discourse is going to be, silencing political voices, whether it's BLM, whether it's what's happening in Gaza, whether what's happening in India. We saw recently how the former head of Facebook in India was a big fan of the government, and the comments that she made. So I think a part of me feels that's a losing battle to assume that we can use social media for a greater good. I feel like a part of me, I'm so disappointed, I would say, and so discouraged by what's happening online, the kind of polarization social media algorithms create, that I feel that anything I say anything anyone has to say will just further create more space between people.
Yeah.
Whereas I've always been someone who feels that we need to bring people together.
Yeah.
And I think social media, it started off as a thing where you could connect with people and with your loved ones and people across the world and borders, and it was going to be this big happy family. And now it is the exact opposite. Everyone is in their own little silos and bubbles of political ideology, of thoughts and feelings.
And nobody wants to listen to the other person.
Nobody wants to listen to the other. And whatever you believe in, you're being fed by that algorithm and that machine over and over again. So your beliefs are solidified.
Yes, there's no space.
There's no space.
Ironically, I quite negative about social media, but I've met some really wonderful women.
Yeah.
And who have actually become friends in life. That's for me is the biggest and the best takeaway. So I've actually connected with so many people.
Yeah, that's also true. That's so true.
So
you
that's
can do meet people as well.
I actually feel like I would have never met these women.
Yeah.
We would have never. I just physically would have never met, but I've met, and so that is one positive followed. But yeah. So on a good note, you had spoken about Arundhati Roy having a big influence on you, and you wanted to write like her.
Yeah, I wanted
And now you have David Godwin as your literary agent. How does it feel?
David's been my agent since 2018. So
the first and only agent you had.
The only agent I've had.
So you just contacted him and he's like, yes.
I sent an email and I said I would, because there were so many things happening, and I said, and I googled Arundhati Roy's literary agent.
Are you serious? And you wrote to him?
Yeah.
You do think big, huh?
I mean, might as well, na? What's gonna happen?
Yeah, maximum he would have said no.
Yeah.
So you wrote to him saying
So I wrote to him with a sample of my book. And I said...
And this book was about?
This was Small Acts of Freedom, my first book, with a sample of my book. And I said, look, I already have a contract. However, I'm going to write many, many books. Would you please be my agent?
And
then he read it and he agreed.
How did it feel? What was your first reaction when you got that email?
I don't know. My first reaction was...
Did you run to your mother? What did you do?
My first reaction, I think, was of relief. But then my second reaction was, well, I better write books for him now. If I don't make him money, he might drop me.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
So, we were talking about this putting in silos, and people, especially women, tend to be put into these boxes. You're either good or bad.
Yeah.
It's black or white. You're either, like I said, you're either a housewife or a working person.
Working woman, yeah.
Yeah, but your journey, you seem to have forged a new path. Is there, you can be or do anything.
Yeah.
Like, like we started off talking that, you're like this new Indian girl.
Yeah, you could do anything.
Right? That true, I want to be this, you can be that. I feel the same.
I want to do everything. Yeah. And that's the thing. Why would you not want to do everything? Why would you not? I want to make a film. I want to write a film. I want to be in a film. I want to direct a film. I want to write a book. I want to write a script. I want to make short films. I want to make little reels. I want to do skincare videos, and I want to talk about serious politics, and I want to maybe design clothes. Maybe I want to have a cookbook, or maybe I want to, run an election, and I want to advocate for cyber peace in the world, and I want to do everything. And I want to do it all at once. And I've done many things of this list.
This reminds me, there's a famous statue of the fearless girl at the fearless girl smiling at the Wall Street bull. What does it say of the possibilities today?
Yeah.
Be anything.
You could be anything.
Yeah.
You really could just be anything. And why not in this world, right? Why box yourself? And this is also why I don't like social media these days very much, because it asks you to have your niche.
Yes. Yeah.
I don't have a niche.
Yeah.
I have many niches. I'm a human being with dimensions to myself. But
it's lovely that you at 27 now you're ready to you accept that, because I still find it how to explain I'm doing this, I'm doing that, and I want to do so many things, and I enjoy doing. So it's not like I enjoy one thing more than less than the other. Yeah. Achha, tell me.
How do you do it? Have you just accepted it?
I'm still in the process of accepting it. That's what I'm saying. For you, what I find very interesting is that there's an awareness of a certain timeline with age, which, because of what happened with you, you have. A lot of us don't have that.
Yeah, I don't know.
It's probably an advantage looking back at it, that you are aware that this is where I am and this is what I can do. So I think I'm also still accepting it, that I can do this and I can do that, and I don't have to be one or the other. But it's not easy. It's not like it's not easy.
It's not
but
easy.
But it's fun. Otherwise, I don't know how any way else to be. Achha, tell me, you're not originally from Delhi?
No.
You're a Jalandhar girl.
Yeah.
But now you've lived in Delhi for a long time. You studied here.
I studied here.
You taught here. And now you're building a career here. You've chosen to live here now.
I love the city. Yeah, I don't want to be in any other city.
Why do you say that?
It's and I say this knowing all its faults. And of course it could be safer for women. It could be less violent and all the terrible things, but we're romanticizing Delhi right now, and there's so much history, there's so much culture. You're reminded that you're in one of the greatest cities of one of the greatest civilizations at every minute. You've got a forest in the middle of a city, you've got leopards in the middle of a city, and you've got these ruins in the middle of a city, and you've got a parliament in the middle of a city. And you've got the Rashtrapati Bhavan in the middle of the city, and you've got these markers of changes and periods this country has gone through in this tiny little radius. You've got the big towers of Gurgaon and Noida that tells you of Manmohan Singh's post-liberalization world. You've got, you've got the Lal Court walls in that reminds
Delhi as a city
it's so much, right? There's so much to see.
Yeah. What is your favorite thing to do in Delhi?
Oh, my favorite thing to do in Delhi: sit in my own house.
Yeah.
Yes, sit in my own house in my balcony. Because
Adrak ki chai.
These days I'm having coffee and this thing called a matcha tea, but also adrak ki chai is like perfect. But usually sit in my house because my house is, I wouldn't say where it is for safety purposes.
Please don't.
But it is. But my house is in a location where there's a mandir, then there's a gurudwara, then there's a very, 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 very old mosque. A beautiful, massive old mosque. And in the evenings it plays. So you have the ardas from the Gurudwara, then you have the little bells from the mandir in the evening, and then you have the azan. So it goes one after the other.
That's so beautiful. But that used to happen in every colony in Delhi. Yeah.
I think I love that. I love the diversity of Delhi. I love how accessible the city is. I love the metros. Is that a bad thing to say? I love that. I love the metros. I love that in 20 rupees you could travel anywhere in this massive city in a perfectly air-conditioned bus, in a perfectly air-conditioned train. I love that I don't have to spend a lot of money. I mean, of course, it's an expensive city, way expensive than Jalandhar, but I love the public infrastructure. Could it be better? 100%. But I love that I can get from one place to the other in Delhi. I love the fact that it's dry heat.
Yeah, you like the weather. I like the weather.
I like the weather. I could not live in, I don't know, I don't think I could live in humid heat. I love that there's so much going on all the time. I love the IIC. I love these Soviet-looking buildings. I love the India Habitat Center. You could walk in and go, and
the market.
Always something happening.
I really do. I really like the fact that Delhi has these open markets.
Yeah.
Along with, I'm not a mall person, so for me, the open markets of Delhi are like one huge, and the bookshops.
And bookshops. There's so many bookshops.
Yeah.
I love the bookshop next to Guppy.
In where?
Near Meherchand Market.
Oh yeah, the old one.
The old one. I think they recently moved there.
Yeah.
I've lived in Oxford. I've lived in London. I've not lived anywhere else, but I don't want to. I've traveled to a whole bunch of cities, but I don't want to. I see myself living here forever and ever because it's just maybe Bombay if I have to, if I really have to.
If you make a film, then you might go.
Yeah, maybe. Or if I fall in love with a boy who lives in Bombay in like a perfect story.
Or he might come here.
Or he might just come here. True. Yeah. But I think I just want to be in Delhi. And,
so he has to come here.
But
your mom was okay about letting you come back to settle in almost in Delhi?
I think she didn't have
much of a say that time?
Not really much of a say. Her daughter just was studying in LSR, and no mother's going to pull their daughter out of LSR.
No, after you did your stint at, you were at Oxford.
In Oxford, yeah. But she... I don't think she was very happy. She wanted me to come back, finish my master's, get married, settle with a very nice boy, with a very nice career, and then have a lovely job, and not do what I'm doing right now, which is everything and everywhere all at once, like that movie.
And where are we with that?
We
the
are
boy and the marriage and the.
We are absolutely nowhere.
We'll see how it goes till the end of the podcast when we telecast the podcast.
When we telecast if anyone has recommendations, send them to my mom so I can reject them.
But Gurmehar, thank you so much. It's been lovely, like always. And I feel you and me can go on and on talking.
Yeah, this will never end.
Yeah, this will. But I really hope that I hope that you do all that you wish to do and much more. And you continue to set this, this path for girls and women, and I'm sure you've inspired a lot of girls.
God.
And I hope that you continue to do that.
Yeah, Yasmin, you're too kind. But thank you. It was so nice.
Thank you, Gurmehar. Your story is one of having the courage to stand up for one's beliefs and holding on to them. Seeing you explore a new world where the possibilities seem endless will definitely inspire many to dare to dream. At A Delhi Love, we are speaking to people from Delhi who have stories to share. And hopefully we are building communities and opening up conversations that will make Delhi more accessible, welcoming and adventurous. So join us next time as we explore Delhi's hidden gems, people, places and stories on Delhi Love, Ishq Muhabbat Pyaar. I'm Yasmin Kidwai. Until next time.